Welcome to this sales demonstration on the InterAcct CRM functions. There's a lot of different functions embedded into the InterAcct software that are used to help manage customer relationships. For most of our clients, everything starts off from keying in or setting up the customer or prospect file. I'm going to go into the business names database. So we can see underneath this client that this is an individual client, not a business client. If this tab here marks them as being a business or an individual, when they're a business client, it gives us an option to be able to have a position and a business name, but if we leave the business as blank, it automatically changes them back to an individual. We've got a main address here, but we can have any number of other delivery addresses that they might have. Now obviously where we're dealing with an individual, that is less common, but for businesses we might have an office address, a warehouse address, or multiple office addresses if they've got offices in different states or towns. We've identified that Annette is the main contact for this particular customer, but we can also have any number of other contact names. So John, her husband, is listed in here in this case, but we might have their son or somebody else who we need to contact relating to their particular job, an architect or an accountant, finance company, whatever else it might be. Underneath the customer file, we've identified this particular person as being a client. But we can also have them being a prospective client or another name. So if they're marked as a prospective client, it means that we haven't actually started dealing with them yet. We hope that we will be dealing with them. We may have raised a quote for them or done a job estimate. We can see that when they're marked as a prospect, the options of what we can do with them are reduced. We've got categories as to whether or not they're going to be buying sometime in the very near future or sometime in the more distant future. I'll mark them back as a client now. Where they originally heard from us, the origin of their lead, and we can use this when we're running reports to be able to analyze where we're getting our leads through from, to work out, should we increase our Google AdWords budget so that we can get more leads from there, or a trade expo or other publication that we might be advertising in. Underneath our customer, we've also got who our account manager is and groupings based on customer type. This allows us to be able to later on also run reports by people in specific industries or areas. We can have regions as well allocated to the main client file or to specific addresses as well. Underneath the customer file, we've got details also of what has happened with this customer in the past. So we can see a list of jobs that have happened with this customer, and we can have photos attached to those jobs. We can also go into the delivery addresses for a client and see underneath here the different jobs just by this particular site. Balgala address has no work. Her other address has a couple of jobs against it. We can also see details of what materials have gone out to those sites, as well as what products or materials she's bought over time, as well listed underneath here. When we're talking to Annette, we can store information under the client file relating to this. The main area we do that is under this contact history file. So we can see in here on the 7th of November, we made a follow-up call to talk with her. So I'm going to just pull up the details of that follow-up call. Now I can see that Andy from our office tried to call Annette to gather some more information, and it was a positive result. She was more interested, but she needs more time to review her quotes. So we put in an appointment with her for 2 weeks' time, and when we did that, we just used this calendar here to select that. What time on that day and who is going to follow that up. And this screen is quite quick to add data into. We just press enter for today's date, which employee spoke to the person, what type of action did we perform. So we sent her a letter. What was the purpose of the letter? We're trying to prepare the proposal for her. The proposal that's been prepared. At this stage, we think we're moving further forward, and we spoke to John this time rather than Annette. What happened while we were preparing this proposal? So we were designing the access platform that she wanted, and we're going to follow her up on the 22nd. Who's going to follow her up? Well, Jerry can follow her up again since he's been dealing with her, and we're just going to make a follow-up call. So you can see here that when we're saying that it's a follow-up call rather than a meeting that we're wanting to have, that it didn't ask me time questions of when we were going to be following her up exactly in that day. It gives us the option in most of these boxes to pick from already pre-generated comments. So if we're regularly using the same type of terms to describe what we're doing, we don't have to type them out, but we can also just start typing here. So we want to follow up with details of the quote. So when we've done that, under Jerry's name from the main menu, we've now got an appointment in here for him to follow up on the 22nd. So if we go back to the main menu, under our diary alerts button here, if we look up the details for Jerry, we can see here on the 22nd of November that he should contact John Miller to follow up on the design of the Access platform and to follow up with the details of the quote. From here I can link back to the customer, or if that note was put in under a job, I can link back to the job on that. So this list here is Jerry's to-do list, things that he should be doing. So we can see here that there was a note on here that they need to review the quotes for Andrew Hubbard, a contract variation for Mr. Hubbard as well, and order some materials for the supplier for this person. We can look at all the different employees' notes of what needs to be followed up underneath the appointment diary if we don't filter our search, and you can see here on the list that we've also got it creating automatic generated notes in this appointment diary. So we've got notes in here on warnings that we've gone over a budget on a job, which can be a note for us to perhaps review the job budget and see where things are at, or perhaps we need to raise variations to contract on that. And they've all been generated automatically based on preset conditions in the software. The users haven't had to set those up, the system's already got them in there, that are triggering when things happen, in the same way that the quotations that have been raised have put in notes in here to follow up on those quotes. If we come back into our customer file here, we can see that there's a lot of other information that we can store underneath a customer. We can store information of what documents they've sent us, whether they be copies of plans, approvals, insurance details. We can also store details in here of credit limits that they might have, pricing levels, discount structures, ABNs, preferred carriers for sending out goods. We can have details of debt collection actions when we've spoken to them, what was said, when they're going to pay money. And we can also have an alternate accounts contact where perhaps they're getting finance for the product or service that we're providing them, and we're needing to store details of that finance company who's going to get the bill, but we want to see the normal details underneath their debtors ledger of what invoices have been raised specific to them. There are a whole bunch of other reports within the software that relate to managing our customers, as well as things like marketing, sending out letters directly to them within the software, which we won't have time to go through in this video. But there are other videos on those topics, or if you've got further questions, please contact sales@interact.com.au. Thank you.